Good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. This is John Paul Rai, and I am coming to you from Tokyo, Japan. So, the big news is Alex Jones got banned from YouTube, and I've known who Alex Jones is for a very long time because a couple of years ago I was kind of intrigued by conspiracy theories and, globalists and things like that. I never got heavy into it, but it was kind of a form of entertainment for me. And when I watched a few videos on the net about this and some of his older videos that people are uploading, a lot of times I see in the comments about how the people like or don't like Alex Jones, and the main point here is it doesn't matter if you like or don't like Alex Jones. The only thing that matters is they shut down a huge YouTube channel for a reason that's not very familiar to everybody. And that reason is he was giving his political opinion about the government, about the way the world works, and about globalists and elites and things like that. And apparently he got shut down for that. And what that is that's a threat on our freedom of speech. So, again, it just doesn't matter if you like Alex Jones or not. I guess I like him. He's kind of entertaining, but that's not the point. The point is, why did he get shut down? So who's going to get shut down next for saying that? And what if globalists or whoever, I'm not a conspiracist or whatever you want to say. I don't know what's true. But I'd like to have the options for the information. And Alex Jones provided an option. And he still does provide on his website. But on YouTube, he provided options for information. And that's what you want. Whether you think he's a genius or you think he's a complete nutjob is irrelevant. The fact is, you want options for information. Okay, I've said that like 5 times. Let's move on. So, how can I connect this to The Last Jedi? Because for me, pretty much everything shitty that happens gets connected somehow to The Last Jedi. So, alright, I'm gonna have to step out on a limb here a little bit, and I'm gonna have to put a few pieces together, but here's how I look at it. The Last Jedi was made by a huge multi-billion dollar corporation, and they have shills and articles about how good it is in the same way the government and globalists have fake news about how good they are or things they're doing are so good. And the thing about The Last Jedi is whether you like the contents of the movie or not, you're liking something that's being pushed forward and, talked up great about by these shills and mass media, and you're not really liking something that's kind of in the heart and the mind of somebody who created something so great, like George Lucas in the 1970s. When he wasn't huge, he just created something so great like Star Wars, and they're not continuing that tradition. I've mentioned Reylo on this channel, and I'm going to mention Reylo going forward in the future, whether I get downvotes or not, because I'm sure some people like Reylo. And the thing about Reylo is that's kind of a very artificially produced storyline in Star Wars, and definitely very odd to have a love story between the main hero and the main villain. And people have claimed that Rey is a Mary Sue, and if Reylo is true, that makes her more of a Mary Sue, because one of the main rules about a Mary Sue I go over here all the time is that everybody loves you. And if we have Finn, Han, Leia, I argue Chewie. He just kind of goes along with Rey, no problem. He's just, boom, right with it. There's no argument with Chewie, nothing. He just, boom, he's right at Rey's side. And Kylo, loving Rey, I mean, that's just one of the main attributes of a Mary Sue. So it just makes it that much worse. And when the mass media defends The Last Jedi, they really have to scrape it together for good points about why the movie is good. And they really have to kind of attack us and have to praise how beautiful it looks over and over again, or say how bold it was, or how it subverted expectations. Yeah, I don't give a shit. You're just saying what it did. You're not saying why it's good. There's a huge difference between that. And even with the prequels, yes, George Lucas, in my personal opinion, was selling out to kids, at least in episode 1 and 2 especially. Probably not 3, that had some pretty dark things, but yes, on the whole, he was selling those out to kids. But he kept all of his original integrity. The story was all there, his characters were intact. He didn't make, for example, Yoda or Obi-Wan or the Emperor do some weird shit they wouldn't do because he thinks that would be cool for, the time the movie was out. He just flowed very naturally as far as the story is concerned. Which is not the case we get with The Last Jedi, because I think a lot of those movie choices were obviously trendy at the time, and not necessarily because Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy or the story group was kind of following the heart in the tradition of Star Wars. It seemed like they were just doing things that were trendy. I would say with the powerful female characters, and I would argue shock value, I think they got that from Game of Thrones. I said this to people that, well, those shock values seem very like Game of Thrones. And then they did hire the Game of Thrones directors to make Star Wars, coincidentally. And, that kind of gave a little evidence to my theory there. Alright, so I got into a little ramble, little rant, and, bottom line is, with Alex Jones, it's freedom of speech versus the establishment. It's not about whether you like Alex Jones or not, or whether he's right or wrong. It's irrelevant. And as far as connecting that to The Last Jedi is just kind of produced and made and shilled out by these major billion-dollar corporations in the same way that the news information that Alex Jones is fighting is also kind of shilled out, you could say. It's pretty much essentially the same thing. So, community's growing little by little. Love to have you. And you could click my Super Ray Suit icon to subscribe, and I will see you next time.